My sister excluded me from her bachelorette party, then asked me to babysit. I said no, but she still dumped her kids at my door and left. You won't believe this, shout, alright? Basically, I was not invited to my sister's bachelorette party since it was for close friends only. However, she later requested me to watch her children instead. I mean, are you serious? I was nice enough to raise her children for free, but I couldn't even join in on the fun. The arrogance, to be honest. I made the decision to show her the truth. It was usually that way while I was growing up. By the way, my sister is Tiffany and my name is Violet. Little things at the beginning. I had to share my lunch if she didn't bring it to school. I was the one who stayed up late to help her do any schoolwork that was due the following day. It was a major issue and caused problems in my home when she would have tantrums over things and my parents would encourage me to be the bigger person and let it go. Nothing altered as we grew older. I somehow ended up being Tiffany's unofficial babysitter for her 2 young children. If I didn't have anything else to do, she would drop them off without much notice. Too bad if I had plans. I could find time if I was busy. It seems like it has been going on forever. I endured it for years. Then she became engaged. I had come to terms with the fact that I would most likely be asked to do a ton of things for her wedding. She would count on me to run errands, go dress shopping, assist with planning, and of course keep the kids whenever she needed me. I had anticipated all of that. The bachelorette party scenario was something I wasn't expecting. I was looking through Instagram one day when I came across a post from a buddy of ours. A big group of women were celebrating and chatting about how delighted they were as it counted down to Tiffany's bachelorette vacation. Confused, I gazed at my screen. Regarding this excursion, I had not heard anything. I figured I would hear about it shortly, and it was just being arranged. A couple of days went by, no invitation, not a word about it. I therefore chose to ask Tiffany, Hey, are you doing a bachelorette trip? Tiffany? Oh yeah, it's just going to be a small group, only my closest friends. Best friends? Her only sister was me. Her bridal party was supposed to have included me. My response, oh, I just assumed I'd be invited. Tiffany? I didn't think you'd be into it, we're having a fun girls' weekend, I didn't want you to feel out of place. Not at home? Even so, what did that mean? As soon as she saw my expression, she said. Violet, it's nothing personal. I just want a certain vibe, I pretended to understand and nodded, but I was hurting on the inside. It hurt that she didn't even think about inviting me, even though I didn't want to go on their trip enough to beg. I convinced myself it wasn't a huge problem and swallowed it down. She was free to throw her party. I had no intention of making a fuss over it. I assumed that would be the last of it. I was mistaken. Tiffany, who never calls unless she needs something, called me 2 days before the trip. I answered, already figuring out where this was headed. Tiffany? Hey, so I have a huge favor to ask. I remained silent as I waited. Tiffany? This weekend I need you to watch the kids. I'm in serious trouble because our sitter just cancelled. She told me that her vacation was just for close friends, so I almost laughed, but now she was expecting me to drop everything and watch the kids so she could go, so I let her continue. Tiffany? It would help me so much, you know how hard it is to find a sitter at the last minute, and I know you love spending time with them. The guilt trip was there. I wanted to say no right away, but then I had an idea, so I told her I would get back to her later instead of answering her right away, and she appeared relieved. Tiffany? Sis, thank you. I was sure I could rely on you. I went online and made a last-minute reservation for a beachfront resort after hanging up without making any commitments. Payback time be tech. Tiffany called again the night before she was scheduled to depart. Tiffany said, so we're good for tomorrow, right? I inhaled deeply and spoke in an informal tone. You? Oh, I forgot to text you. I actually booked a trip for myself this weekend. I won't be around to babysit. Quiet. Tiffany? Wait, what? What do you mean you booked a trip? You never go anywhere. I disregarded the remark. You? Yeah, I figured it was time to do something fun for myself. Hope you figure things out. She began to splutter. Tiffany? But wait. What? You can't just leave. What am I supposed to do with the kids? You? Not sure. Maybe ask one of your close friends? As if I had slapped her, she gasped. Tiffany? Oh my God. You're being so petty right now. I gave a shrug. You? Not trying to be, just prioritizing myself like you did before. I told her I had to leave before she could continue. After that I packed my bags, switched off my phone's notifications and went to bed. I woke up early the following morning, packed my belongings and headed out. My phone began to explode with voicemails, missed calls and angry texts as I was on the beach sipping champagne and listening to the waves. The initial one? Tiffany? Where are you? I'm at your house. The following? You said you'd help me, said Tiffany. Then Janice, my mother, called. I let the voicemail go, then she called repeatedly. At last I responded. Mother? Violet, Tiffany is outside your house with the kids. What is going on? I sip my beverage. My response? I told her I wouldn't be home. I have my own plans this weekend. Mama? Wait, so she expected you to babysit? You? Yep. Without even asking me first. Quiet. Then? Mom? I see? I didn't get a shout from her. She didn't point out my selfishness to me. She also sounded for the first time in her life weary of Tiffany's actions. That's wonderful to hear. My phone is still vibrating on the table as I sit by the ocean and watch the sunset. Tiffany is still yelling and calling me nonstop outside my house. I'm not sure if I should respond. After I finish my drink, perhaps. After a few minutes of silence, my phone began to ring again, but this time it wasn't Tiffany, it was my dad, Richard. My dad never calls unless something serious is happening. I sighed, picked it up and braced myself. I sat there watching the waves roll and feeling the warm breeze on my face. The sound of the ocean drowned out the buzzing of my phone, but I could still see the notifications piling up. Where are you? Asked Dad. I could detect the sharpness in his tone even though his voice was quiet. Me. On the shore. Taking a rest. Dad. Tiffany and the children are crying in front of your house. She claims that you left them behind. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. Me. I didn't leave anyone behind. I never consented to be a babysitter. Dad. She had plans this weekend, as you are aware. She required your assistance. I was expected to constantly step up no matter what, and there it was, the standard speech. Me. I was not invited on her trip. I was close enough to be her free babysitter, but she didn't think I was close enough to be there. Not now. Dad was silent for a while. Father. I understand that you're upset, but family takes care of each other. I gave a little chuckle. Me. Is Tiffany looking after me? Has she ever? Or am I simply supposed to give up everything for her at any time? More silence followed by an unexpected development. Father. Your mother and I are on our way to get the kids. I straightened my posture in my chair. Me. You're heading to Tiffany's house? Hold on. No, your house, said Dad. After leaving the children there, she departed. Anger began to slowly swell in my breast. Tiffany had left her children outside my house thinking that anybody would watch them. She had not made other plans or recruited another babysitter, so she simply left them there and went. I took another sip of my drink while clenching my jaw. Me. How long ago? Dad. Roughly 20 minutes. I'm already halfway there with your mom. She truly believed that I would give and that I would go home in a panic and accept responsibility like I always did, but this time I let out a sharp breath. Me. All okay. Tell me when you get them. After hanging up, I tried to calm myself by staring out at the water and thinking about how horrible it was for the kids who didn't deserve this and didn't know their mother was using them as pawns in some absurd guilt trip. I thought about calling Tiffany, but I knew what she would say. She would play the victim, turn this around on me and tell everyone that I was the selfish, cruel sister who made her leave her kids on a doorstep because she had no other option. It wasn't worth it. My dad texted me 15 minutes later. Saying, Dad, we have them. I released a breath I didn't know I was holding, and then he contacted me again saying, Dad, we're taking them to our house. My mom Janice had always found ways to make things better for Tiffany, but something about this had pushed her over the edge. Your mother is furious. That made me stop. Mom was furious. That was new. Before I could give it much thought, another message arrived, this time from Tiffany. How could you do that to me? Asked Tiffany. I rolled my eyes and continued to read, but now I had the problem. Tiffany replied. You know, I had nowhere else to go. What else was I supposed to do? Asked Tiffany. Tiffany. You really are making a big deal out of a trip. You're self-centered and petty. And last, the message. You're dead to me, said Tiffany. This wasn't over yet, but I wasn't going to let her spoil my weekend, so I locked my phone and put it away after staring at the screen for a moment. As I reclined on my lounge chair, I allowed Tiffany's irate text to remain unread. Everything was bathed in rich orange and gold hues as the sun descended over the ocean. The waves were calm, steady and rhythmic. Something bothered me even though I should have been at ease. Tiffany wasn't one to take things lightly. She was always adept at assigning blame and manipulating circumstances to her advantage, and this was the kind of thing she would cling to for years. I let out a sigh, sipped my drink slowly, then picked up my phone once more. 42 messages remain unread. Some from my mother, most from Tiffany. I started by quickly reading Mom's most recent text. Mother. We have the kids. Mother. Tiffany isn't answering our calls. Mama. Call me when you can. I scowled. Why wasn't Tiffany responding to them? She kept sending me texts, but was she ignoring them? That was nonsensical. After a moment of hesitation, I clicked on her name. The texts were just what I had anticipated. Tiffany said, I hope you're happy you ruined everything. Tiffany said, you're so bitter it's disgusting. Tiffany said, you embarrassed me in front of everyone. Tiffany said, I hope you're enjoying yourself while I'm falling apart. Nothing fresh. The standard guilt tripping. A new message appeared just as I was ready to put my phone away once more. Tiffany said, I told my friends what you did. They all agree you're an awful sister. No wonder you don't have many close friends. I gave a quick breath. It was there. Throughout my entire life I had been the trustworthy, responsible and good sibling. I had to be the bigger person, and Tiffany was used to that. She had to make me the bad guy now that I wasn't going out of my way for her. I put my phone away and locked it. Allow her to provide her version. I didn't give a damn. I believed I didn't anyhow. My phone buzzed once more about an hour later, right as I was wrapping up supper at the resort's outdoor eatery. I let out a sigh, anticipating more irate texts. It wasn't Tiffany though, my neighbor was the one. Your neighbor. Hey, are you home? There's someone banging on your front door. I felt sick to my stomach. I instantly typed back. Who is it? I exclaimed. Your neighbor. I think it's Tiffany. She's yelling your name. She was, of course. I tightened my jaw. Tiffany was at my house, most likely prepared to yell at me face to face after realizing that our parents wouldn't give in as they normally did. Me? I'm not in the city. Neighbor? She is unhappy about that, yes. You want me to do what? I inhaled deeply. Ignore her, I say. She's waking up the entire street, says the neighbor. Rachel was obviously dramatic, but this was something different. What was she trying to do, make a scene and get me to go home quickly? If that was her goal, it wouldn't work, so I rubbed my temples. After 15 minutes my dad sent me another SMS. Dad. Tiffany just arrived at our house and is requesting that the children return. I scowled, since it didn't make sense that she had left them there, gone away and disregarded their calls before demanding their return. Next, another text. Something's wrong, Dad. She's acting weird. Tiffany was a lot of things, but she wasn't reckless with her children. She was entitled and manipulative, but she was also strategic. If she abandoned them, it was to make a point, but now that she was going back, something wasn't right. My phone then buzzed once more, this time with a message from my neighbor. Tiffany left her neighbor, but about 5 minutes later a man came looking for her. My stomach turned over. What guy am I? The tall, somewhat rough-looking neighbor knocked a few times, glanced around and then walked away. Tiffany only surrounded herself with individuals who could help her in some manner. She didn't date guys like that. Who is this person and why was he looking for her? I gazed at my phone, feeling my pulse quicken up. I went back to Tiffany's previous message, which read, Tiffany, I hope you're having fun while I'm falling apart. Tiffany was erratic, but this time she had gone from angry to desperate in a matter of hours. She had abandoned her children, then demanded their return, and now some random guy was showing up at my house looking for her. I had thought she was just being dramatic, but now I wasn't sure, and I couldn't get rid of the feeling that something wasn't right. My instinct told me that I couldn't ignore this, so I contacted Tiffany, something I hadn't done in years despite my best efforts to ignore it and enjoy my weekend. She didn't respond. Voicemail. When I tried again, I debated while staring at my phone, and then I called my dad, who answered right away. Me. She just left you, Dad. What took place? Dad. Sigh. She suddenly appeared and demanded that the children be returned. Until she clarified the situation, your mother told her no. Tiffany snapped. Yelling, sobbing and declaring our collective opposition to her. Me. Did she explain her initial reason for leaving them? Dad. Not at all. However, she insisted that she needed to make a change before it was too late. I clenched my fingers around my phone. Me. Did she mention the issue she needed to resolve? Dad. No, she also forbade me from calling the police. She claimed to be in control of it. I checked the time and it was late, but I had a bad feeling this wasn't finished, and I was right. That didn't seem like Tiffany, who always made sure others saw her as the victim and would call the police if she had any reason to do so. My mom called at around 2 in the morning and I answered right away when I heard my phone vibrate noisily on the nightstand. Me. What's the matter? Mom. Tiffany is back at our place and that individual is as well. I leapt from my bed. Me. What? Did he follow her there? Mom. Yes. Outside they are arguing. I quickly put on my clothes, picked up my bag and hurried to leave the resort. Me. Make a police call. Mom. Tiffany keeps warning us not to, but your father did it already. I was already in the vehicle and driving quickly on the freeway. My response: I'm coming home. Mom. What? Don't please. I had already hung up though, since I needed to see for myself that Tiffany had pulled our entire family into whatever problem she was in. One of the officers was standing between them attempting to defuse the situation and I parked and got out feeling my heart pound in my chest. By the time I pulled up to our parents' house, 2 police cars were outside and Tiffany was sobbing hysterically on the front porch while the man, whom I could now see clearly, was pacing on the sidewalk and shouting something at her. He was tall, rough-looking and angry and I didn't recognize him. Mom hurried over when she first seen me. Mom. You weren't supposed to arrive. Too late, I said. I glanced at the man, then at Tiffany. Me. Who's that? Mom gave a headshake. Parents. We don't know. I looked at Tiffany. Me. Who's that, Tiffany? Tiffany wouldn't give me a look. Instead the man turned to face me. Man. You're the sister, aren't you? The one who abandoned her. I was taken aback and retreated. Me. Pardon me. Mocking voice of a man. I need a weekend to myself. I don't have time to help my own sister. My blood froze. Me. Did you mention me to him, Tiffany? The man chuckled, but Tiffany refused to look at me. Man. She did, of course. She put the responsibility on you. Said that she was stranded in this dilemma because of you. I tightened my jaw. What mess, I asked myself. Man. The money. The ground seemed to have been torn out from under me. Me. How much money? The man snorted. Mail. The $10,000 she owes me. My heart ceased and I looked at Tiffany. My response. Tell me he's lying. Tiffany's eyes were bloodshot and her face was pallid when she finally looked up. Tiffany. She whispered. For the wedding I needed the money. I gazed at her. Me. You took out a loan from him? Why? She shook her head and wiped her cheeks. Tiffany said I thought I could pay it back before he came looking. The man chuckled once again. Guy. Yeah, well, you thought wrong. I looked back at him. So you're a loan shark, I asked. Male. I prefer businessmen. I took a deep breath. Me. What did you think? Would you get paid more quickly if you came here and caused a scene? He gave a shrug. Man. I couldn't get her to return my calls, her excuses ran out, so here we are. I gave Tiffany another glance. Me. You left the kids in my house for what reason? Tiffany sobbed while covering her face. According to Tiffany, I didn't want them to be around if things got bad. I shut my eyes. She had taken advantage of me, tried to have me watch her children so she could deal with a loan shark behind my back and then abandon them anyway. She had put us all in danger because she didn't want to be held accountable for her own behavior. I was done. After obtaining statements, the police ultimately escorted the man away. Our parents weren't amenable to Tiffany's attempts at apology. Father. You put your kids in danger, Tiffany? Mama. You put all of us in danger. Your mother. And you tried to blame your sister for your mistake. Tiffany continued to cry, stating that she was at a loss for what to do. Silently I stood there. I had no feelings. I had lost my anger. I wasn't shocked at all. I was simply worn out. My response. Figured it out, Tiffany. Her eyes were big as she gazed up at me. You're just going to walk away? Asked Tiffany. Me. Yes. I didn't feel compelled to make things right for her for the first time in my life. This mess was her fault. It would need to be cleaned by her. I turned, made my way back to my vehicle and departed. For weeks Tiffany and I didn't communicate. Later I learned that in order to pay off the debt, my parents made her sell some of her wedding pleasures. Although it was far smaller than she had initially intended, the wedding still took place. The bridal party did not include me. They didn't even invite me. And to be honest, I didn't mind that. I prioritized myself for the first time in my life. Thank you for watching. For more videos like this, remember to like and subscribe. Also remember to let us know your thoughts below in the comments.